Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play. This actual play uses the Hunter the Reckoning system by Whitewood Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am neither your keeper, handler, or storyteller this evening, as I am turning this entire show over and turning the clock back to 1999. As friend of the show, Skip will be walking us through the devils and the details of Hunter the Reckoning. So, Skip, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, my name is Skip. My pronouns are he, him, and tonight I will be your storyteller as we focus in on Roanoke, Virginia, 1999. In fact, November 1st, 1999, right before the big Y2K. And our hunters have already begun to find out that there's something devious going on in the Star City. And tonight we will continue to get more of that information to them and see how they react. But I can't do it without the hunters. So let's go around the table and introduce our hunters for tonight. First of all, to my left.
This is Morgan, and I play Fiona Hensley. Our pronouns are she, her, and Fiona's creed is visionary. Fiona got some really interesting information from David at the Fiji the other evening, and about to go do some investigating.
As a journalist should. And next to Fiona.
Hi, this is Mike, and I'm playing James Buchanan, former soldier, likely now just somebody on the run from doing something terrible because he had to. And I am the party's avenger, or when and if we become a party, I'll be their avenger. And James spent most of last episode in a bar drinking, which is a common refrain for many hunters. We call it self-care.
He may be getting a little bit more self-care a little bit later on as well. So we'll look forward to seeing that. And to the right.
Hi, this is Heather, and I am playing Jo Mackey. My pronouns are she, her, as well as Jo's. And Jo wanders through life basically judging those around her, especially those who may not serve humanity very well in whatever form that monstrous visage takes.
We'll look forward to seeing what Jo decides to do one way or the other here in just a little bit, as Jo has actually activated one of her abilities that we will get into in just a little while. And finally, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I am playing Riley Mendez. And I found out that there's a guy in the morgue with feet that are cut off just a little too clean.
Something is definitely afoot there. So we will definitely find out a little bit more here in just a moment. Again, we set the stage. It is November 1st, 1999, a little bit after 8 p.m. It is a cold night here in the Star City. Our hunters have been integrated, I should say, with a little bit of information, and we're going to get more into that right now. But we'll start and focus in on our first hunter, we were just mentioning a moment ago, who has decided to tap into some of her abilities. Jo, as you were leaving the, we'll call it the gambling club, the best that Roanoke has, and started making your way down to the park, I believe that you activated one of your powers called Discern, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So what that has done is basically turned on a light for you. With this power activated, not only can you detect any supernatural beings around you, you can actually see in the dark. So the darkness now is not really bothering you like it did before. As you make your way down to the park, it's only a few blocks away from the club that you were in. You could tell normally that when nightfall around here, you've been to Roanoke long enough, that fog starts to generally roll off the Roanoke River starting around this time. So that has begun to happen, and it's kind of set like a misty, snowy effect all around you. Not a lot of people are on the streets tonight. It is a little chilly night as you make your way down, and generally the park closes about 8 o'clock every day. Sunshine or darkness, that's usually the time that they close. While you're making your way down there, is there anything in particular that you're looking at? Anything that you would like to do? It's going to take you maybe a good 10 to 15 minute walk.
Jo is alert. She is aware something is going on, something out of the ordinary, something that probably should not be occurring. And therefore her, I guess the equivalent of her spidey sense is tingling. So as she is wandering through down in that direction, she is vigilant for anything remotely out of the ordinary so that she can potentially hone in and see, make sure that something not untoward or something offsetting the natural order of things is not happening.
As you continue to walk around, nothing supernatural has been triggered by your sight. You see what little people are on the street tonight are just kind of huddled up. They're just maybe heading into one of the bars or coming from one of them at this particular point in time. As you make your way down the winding streets towards Riverside Park, you are noticing over to your left there is an old graveyard. It's been there since the Civil War. It's very rarely used now. As you kind of scan around there, you do see maybe residuals of things that have happened before, maybe restless spirits coming to visit their own graves. Maybe those who have been touched before going to visit those who have passed before them. But nothing is screaming at you right now that there's something evil afoot in that area. But it is something that does catch your eye as you continue to walk on.
I would think that Jo would actually have has probably been in more than a few graveyards in her time, and therefore would sense that as she's walking past and taking that in. That is, I wouldn't say old hat, but something she's relatively familiar with. So if nothing really stands out, she may kind of note it in the back of her mind and then just keep going with her focus.
Absolutely. As you begin to enter the park from where you are, the first thing that you come across is just the normal kids' playground. You have the jungle gym, you have the swings, you have the slide. Of course, at this time of night, it is empty. But as you continue further down, you do see a collection of people, maybe 3 or 4, with a couple of lights set up around this certain area. It's not the ballpark or anything like that that's located towards the left part of the park, but you do get a sense that maybe this is where the body was, and that has been noticed. As you grow closer, you do see there's about 2 to 3 figures kind of pointing their flashlights down, and you can definitely tell that there's something on the ground and it's covered at the moment. They don't seem to have noticed you because you're still a good distance away, but with your sight up, you're picking them up with no issue whatsoever.
So these things on the ground, are they moving, or do I sense life of some sort, or is this just like parts that are just lying there unmoving?
The one on the ground is not moving at all. The 3 figures around are. It looks like from this distance you can't really hear what they're saying, but there definitely is some sort of conversation going on, and it does look like one has a pen and a piece of paper writing something down.
Having been hunting for a while, would this seem like a scene like these are Does this seem like a crime scene per se, where these are police officers or detectives and they're just doing their job, and maybe the place hasn't been cordoned off yet? Or am I getting a sense that whoever those people are, kind of standing around, talking quietly, writing things down, they're not normal, quote unquote, law enforcement, that this could be maybe of a different level of organization, either governmental or otherwise?
You can definitely, with your experience, you can definitely tell these are cops. The way that they're standing, the way that they're holding themselves, even the way that they gesture when one or two of them talk, you could definitely tell these are cops.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, having seen that law enforcement, at least on the surface, appears to be law enforcement, is already on the scene, doing their thing, I am going to see if I can find something of an inobtrusive vantage point so I can keep an eye out. Generally, when the police come into a scene, more are on their way.
Mhm.
There's probably going to be either, I don't know, not necessarily an ambulance, but if there's somebody dead, that means that there's probably going to be a coroner's, pickup at some
Mhm.
point. I'd like to kind of, as I'm kind of keeping a distance and kind of keeping an eye and an ear open to see if I can overhear any snippets that may come through. I'm also going to kind of I'm going to fly casual, and I'm going
Okay.
to kind of skirt the perimeter around them and see if I come up with any clues or anything that maybe either they have missed, they haven't seen yet, or that they really wouldn't pick up on.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth plus dexterity check.
Dex is good, stealth is not so good, but let's find out what happens. So a Dex, we got Dex of 4, stealth of 1, so total pool of 5.
And you're looking for 6s.
So that is 2.
2 successes. Okay. You seem to not draw any attention to yourself as you make your way kind of around the perimeter. You head towards the ballpark that I mentioned before, and kind of skirting around that way. And we will leave you as you make your way around and see if there's any other clues in the area.
Okay.
We will switch over now to James. James, you had just left the bar after speaking with a couple of off-duty police officers. Found out that the train station was a scene of a crime, and I believe that you were heading in that general direction.
Yep, you bet.
As I described to Joe, where the train station is near downtown, so it is kind of near the river as well. So the fog that I described earlier is still beginning to move its way in to the train station area as well. This one is a little bit more well lit. This also doubles as the Amtrak station. Right now, there is no Amtrak in. There is one that comes through about 3 a.m. in the morning. So people who generally ride that one will not show up until about 12 or 1 o'clock. There are still a few people still meandering around. They could be homeless. They could just be people, again, maybe who have just gotten off of a train earlier, who was waiting on a ride or whatever. But you're definitely not alone. But you make your way down through there. Where would you like to do at this point?
I think I'd like to sort of just maybe blend in to the surroundings.
Okay.
A little bit. Maybe make a stealth roll of my own. And then once I get to cover, I'd like to take a real hard look at the train station with discern.
Absolutely. So first of all, if you could give me a Dex plus stealth roll.
I'd be happy to. Okay, I have 2 successes.
Okay.
Then discern is perception zeal.
That is correct.
This power, this fantastic hunter power, lasts for 10 minutes per success rolled.
Exactly.
And I have 3 successes.
Awesome. All right. So as you begin to look around with discern, you kind of get that same feeling I was describing to Joe. The lights just do not matter to you anymore. You're able to see pretty much everything through the fog and things like that. At first glance, you're not really seeing anything that's jumping out at you. Just normal folks walking around doing their thing. But as you continue to move yourself around, you go between some of the old train cars that are there. There's a small little museum towards the end of the main building, the terminal itself. You make your way kind of around there, and you begin to pick up something. You begin to pick up you see almost footprints to a certain degree, heading down towards the bottom end of where the back of the museum would be, of that set of train on the track. Excuse me.
Okay. I will make a concerted effort to follow the trail.
Okay. As you do, you make your way down very quietly. You're not drawing any attention. It doesn't look like there's any police presence in this area, at least not right in this particular part. You kind of climb down a little bit, still following this really weird trail, and it kind of winds you around to where almost it reaches where the river and the base of the depot meet. Along there's a little bank that people may have fished off of or something like that. And that's kind of where the trail ends. And you kind of see something that's kind of sticking out of the weeds that are kind of grown up down there.
Okay. So the great thing about Second Sight is that it's going to reveal creatures that try to use any sort of mystical advantage to hide.
Mm-hmm.
It exposes features that identify those creatures. So I will trust the process that I likely just gave into when it came to the oil change place, and slowly creep that way. I'll probably keep a hand on like a collapsible baton that I have.
Okay. As you make your way there, you hear a rustling coming from kind of above where you are. It's not throwing off anything supernatural for you. It's just maybe somebody walking that's up on the upper level where you're kind of down below. You do see every now and then a shine of a light, like somebody's running a flashlight up and down, kind of about 30 to 35 feet above you.
Okay, so like maybe someone's doing some just regular old investigating up there.
Exactly.
All right. That makes sense. Any easy way to get up there?
If you continue down about 10 to 15 more feet, there is one of those little ladders that you can kind of climb, iron ladders, and it's attached to like 2 posts. It looks like that they can get down here and do some fishing and then climb back up.
Yeah.
It's nothing fancy, but you can definitely get there.
Yep, that's what I'm going to go for. And I'm going to take not as long as necessary, but I'll take my time trying to be silent on that ladder.
Okay. All right. We'll continue to let your stealth cover that as you begin to climb up the ladder. And as we do, we will move the scene back a little bit. And we'll now focus to our journalist, Fiona. When last we left, you were thinking about doing some investigation on what David had shown you at the potential loss of his girlfriend. What would you like to be doing?
I think I was going to head to the medical examiner's office, but they aren't open until they could be 24/7. I mean, dead bodies come in anytime, so I'm always maybe have somebody on call.
Okay.
Let's see if there's a third shift person there.
All righty. You'll make your way down to the medical examiner's office downtown. You've probably done this 100 times, investigating a couple of previous murders, whatever you kind of looking into. You do know that there is a third shift. It's a skeleton crew, no pun intended, but you do know that there is generally one person at the desk and then one in the very back on a typical evening, especially tonight.
Yeah, I'll head in.
All right. As you approach and you go in, there is one young girl sitting at the desk. You've never seen her before in the times that you've been here, but she'll look up to you. She's looks about 25 to 26 years old. She's got glasses on, dark black hair, kind of pulled back into a ponytail. Looks like she's just writing down something on a notepad when she looks up and she goes, yes, ma'am. How can I help you?
Yeah, I was hoping to get some information on, what was the name of the person? It was David Hutchins. Was it David Hutchins?
Mm-hmm.
Looking to get some more information on David Hutchins and maybe take a look at his body.
Okay. Are you with the police?
No. I work for the Roanoke Tribune, and I'm doing a little of investigative journalism to try to figure out who this killer is in town.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a manipulation and subterfuge if you got it.
I got 2 successes.
Okay. She takes a moment, looks at you. I guess it'll be okay. Give me just a moment. Let me go talk to Steve. Who's on duty in the back, just to make sure. Okay, I'm new here. I just started about a week ago.
Yeah, Steve and I go way back. Hey, you just started a week ago? Are you new to the area?
Yeah, I just moved here from Tennessee. My fiance goes to teaches over at Hollins University.
Oh, I go digging in my laptop bag. Mm-hmm. Oh, do you and your boyfriend, or your fiance, I'm sorry. Congratulations to you and your fiance.
Thank you. My parents don't really like it, but that's okay. That's why we moved here.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, parents, they don't know anything. Do you guys enjoy hockey?
Oh, yeah, he's a big fan.
Oh, I got these great seats to the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. They play this weekend. Mm-hmm. They're yours. I mean, as a welcome to town present.
Really? Well,
yeah.
You know what? Okay. If you know Steve, going back the record. Have you been here before?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
Okay. Well, you know the records is back there to the left. If you want to go back there, it's unlocked. I was just back there. But yeah, thank you. Oh, look, front row, awesome. He's going to be so surprised. Thank you.
Oh, for sure. And here's my card. If you need anything when you're in town, you come across anything odd that might help me in my story too, mm-hmm. Feel free to reach out.
Okay. Thank you. Just go on. You know the way.
Yep. I head on back.
And she starts to reach down to grab her purse and put the tickets in. So you make your way back to the records room. The door's wide open, the lights on. And the file cabinet is up against the wall. There's a small computer that's in there. It looks like it's on. It looks like it is attached to the internet right now. What would you like to look for?
I already have the file on David Hutchinson and what happened to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's missing.
Yeah, you have a copy of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have it on your phone.
Pretty sure he was missing hands, right? Yes.
Hands, yes. Mm-hmm.
And so I want to look up, depending on the search engine on their software, which, 1998, it's gonna be amazing. Like to look for bodies recently that have also come in minus limbs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe do a search on that.
Okay. Let's see. Give me an intelligence and computer roll.
I got 4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. You begin to dig in, and you just seem to be a natural at this program. So you just start looking in, typing in other bodies, missing parts, things like that. And you come across that over the past 6 months or so, there have been a few bodies that have come in missing parts like hands, a foot, 2 arms. Even they just found like arms, legs, and a head. The torso has been missing. It has been going on, like if you trace it back, it started about 6 months ago. It's kind of been hush hush. I mean, nobody's really told anybody about it. It's not been in any of the papers. It hasn't been on the local news. You had 4 successes. Okay. So the key thing that really pops out to you as you start looking through these files is the bodies or the victims have all been around the same height and weight. It looks around 6'2" to 6'3", and the weight to be about 240 to 250. And that seems to be pretty much steady through all the files that you see. There's about 8 bodies that you can find through the search there.
Is that including David?
That is including David, yes.
Okay. Have they all been male?
They have all been male, yes. Mm-hmm.
Have they all been a specific like ethnicity or race?
Yes, they all have been Caucasian.
The locations that these bodies were found, are they all in the same area, or were they spread throughout the city?
Yeah, they have all been around the downtown area.
All right, and so am I able to get onto HunterNet from here?
Oh, with a 4, yeah, with the roll that you had, I will let you carry that through. You are able to get on HunterNet.
Well, I was hoping I could roll like intelligence occult or something so I can see if there's anything similar, other posts, other documentation on HunterNet that have had similar, dead people showing up without body parts.
Far be it from me to keep you from using your skills. By all means, go ahead.
Watch me get no successes. That'd be awesome. All right, I got 2.
2? Okay. All right. So you start looking at Hunter.net, and that's where we're going to leave you for the moment. And we now switch our way over to the hospital. And Riley, you had just had a conversation with your coworker about a very good surgery of removing feet, and you are making your way down to the morgue, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you've worked here before. You know exactly the way. Takes you about 5-10 minutes to get down there. As you're coming in, you do notice at this time of night, there's generally nobody down here unless somebody has just come in. So the light is on, which is, first of all, out of the ordinary for you. And second, one of the slabs are pulled out. And there's a young lady standing there wearing a white jacket. Her back is to you. And it looks like she's got the body pulled out and the towel removed down. And she's just kind of staring at the body. As you look over it, you can definitely tell this is the one that you were coming down here to see because the towel has been totally removed. There is absolutely no feet there. And you, being a nurse, know that there should be some sort of like cut wounds or something, but they are perfectly, it's like somebody put a cap right on them, but the cap is made of skin. It was a perfect job done. And she's just standing there. She's not saying anything. She's just kind of looking at the body.
Can I help you?
Takes a deep sigh and turns around. When you see her, you've never seen her before. She is wearing a doctor's hat. She's got, she stands about 6 foot. She's got red hair pulled back into a ponytail. And her name tag will say, Dr. Frances Dunham. And she just looks at you and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize anybody would come down here tonight."
Did you know this man?
Yeah. Eric was my fiance.
And like my entire body's just gonna like like shrink a little. I am so sorry.
Well, thank you. They had called me and told me what had happened. I don't work here. And she kind of wipes a tear from her eye. But I figured nobody'd be down here right now, so I just wanted to make sure it was him.
And it's him.
Yeah, it's him.
Have there... I don't want to sound insensitive, but I don't suppose that you know where his feet are.
She kind of looks down at him and no. No. And she kind of starts sobbing a little bit. Like, honestly, that was his best feature. He's a model. If you ever saw those barefoot commercials on TV, the local TV, he's the one in the blue flip flops, running on the beach, and he pulls off the flip flop and he puts the suntan lotion on it, and that was him. He had just gotten that commercial about a few months ago. He was so happy.
I am really sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you. Are you down here to work? I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep you.
Yeah, I was just here to have a look over at him. But I can leave you alone for a little longer if you want. I can give you another few minutes.
No, that's okay. Kind of like the company, actually. It's an amazing piece of work. I'm a surgeon, so I don't know if I could ever do anything like that.
Yeah. One of the other nurses mentioned that it was highly unusual, and she wanted my opinion. I'm not a specialist in detached limbs, but I've worked in ERs for the last, 7 or 8 years, primarily in the ER, and I've seen a lot of cuts, and she was curious about my take on it, so I was just going to take a look at it, if that's okay.
Yeah, I just I wanted to get his ring, that he had, his family ring. It was still on him, and his sister will probably want it. Yeah, if you want to look, I'm just going to kind of stand right here and wonder what to do now.
So I'll kind of awkwardly, I'm going to feel real awkward looking at a dead body with these weird missing limbs, or these weird missing feet, more correctly, with who, at least so far, seems to be telling the truth. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and take a closer look at the wounds.
Okay. Give me an intelligence and medicine.
I can do that.
And I'll allow you to use your specialty on this, so you can re-roll zeros if you want to.
I have 3 successes.
Okay. The first thing that you just realized that it was done with some sort of cutting instrument, but the cuts are absolutely perfect, to the point where if you did not know better, you would think that the knife or whatever was used also cauterized the wound as it was cutting, because there's absolutely no blood that is coming out at all. Even at this point, there is no residual blood around, like the bone or everything like that. Everything looks like it's perfectly intact, except for there's no feet.
But it clearly looks like like burned flesh, like it was cauterized. Kind of that dark, kind of like patchy skin look.
That's the thing. There is none. It shows like it looks like somebody would have cauterized it, because that's the only way you would have been able to stop the bleeding or anything. But there's no burn marks. There's nothing. It looks like somebody just removed the foot and the skin grew over it or stopped it. It's an actual perfect cut.
That's wild. And I'm gonna there's gonna be like this heavy like breath out as I like really take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And she kind of looks. She said, "You see something?"
It's what I don't see. That's more the issue. Like, there's no... From the looks of it, these wounds didn't even have time to bleed. Which shouldn't be possible. And I'm gonna like look up from the wounds, these stumps back up at her. There's nothing I know of in traditional reality that would do something like this.
She'll kind of walk back to where you are and kind of walk around and look from the other side. And she'll begin to kind of stare at them and just look in amazement at what you're pointing out. While she's doing that, would you please give me a perception and intuition roll?
Nothing.
Okay. So she continues to look. She says, I've never seen anything like it. There should be at least cut wounds, or if it was cauterized, there would be at least a little bit of burn marks.
Well, and even with, cauterizing, unless whoever or whatever did this, there would still at least be some blood around the initial cutting edge, but there's no blood anywhere along any edge.
I don't know what he got into. I don't know. I mean, who would want to take somebody's feet?
I don't know.
Wasn't in with the mob or anything. That I've heard they cut off fingers, but and she'll just begin to sob a little bit more.
I won't reach out and comfort her like in a physical way. It's not how I am. I don't really comfort people in that sort of way. And she knows that like I'm not here to like make her feel worse, or at least I hope so. But like I'm gonna find a pair of small gloves and put them on so that way I can actually like feel the wound, like not just visually, but I want to see if I can get any more information from the wound incision cauterization mark area by feeling it as well.
Okay.
And see if I can get any more out of it.
Absolutely. And that's where we'll step away for a moment. And we'll go back to the park. Joe, you have recently made your way around trying to get a better feel of the conversation that's going on. Did really well on your stealth check, so they haven't noticed you. And you do get a little bit closer, and you can hear bits and pieces now of the conversation. It looks like they're just waiting for the coroner to arrive. It was one of the things that you thought about earlier, and that's exactly what they're doing. There appears to be 2 police officers, and I guess somebody who's taking notes for the medical examiner, because they are going over the body itself. They're pointing out things. And you do catch a name. The name is Andre Jenny. It looks like that they pull out his wallet and, they show the ID and everything.
Does that name ring any kind of bell for me?
No. Mm-mm. You don't recognize it.
These murders are going on all at the same time. What the hell is happening? Am I catching any sign of any potential perpetrator, tracks, any kind of lingering ambient auras, anything that is indicating that this is anything other than potentially just somehow it's just some kind of regular murder?
As I mentioned to James, you are with your discern up. You do see, as you're now closer to where the body is, there is a distinct set of footprints. They're kind of yellow, gaseously footprints that are on the ground, heading off away from the park. You are seeing that.
Okay. Once I kind of pick up on that and do another quick scan of the general area just to see if there's anything else, which I'm probably not getting much. And I really, too many questions are going to come up if I actually get near that body. I'm more interested in those those tracks. So I am going to follow those.
Absolutely. All right. You've been here for a while, so you kind of know how to kind of make your way back around to where you can pick up the trail where the officers will not see you. But I would like you to give me an awareness and perception roll, if you don't mind, as you're getting past the police officers.
Awareness and perception. Ooh, that gives me quite a few dice. Okay. That is 4 successes.
Awesome. So you made your way, you're following the footprints towards the other end of the park. On this park, I don't know if you've ever seen, but they have one of those workout areas. They have like the bars that you can pull yourself up and down on. They have a little table where you can do sit-ups on.
Right.
There's actually somebody sitting right there on the table where you can do your sit-ups. And the closer you're getting, the more that your senses are now starting to register something that should not be there. You're definitely getting a supernatural feel to it. You've never seen anything like this before, but your senses are telling you that it's not human and it's not normal. With your perception roll, you kind of look at this person is not breathing. There is no mist or anything coming out of their mouth as they're just sitting there. But they do have a cigarette in their hand, and they're just kind of just sitting there staring at you. How would you like to proceed?
I'm getting a sense that they actually sense me.
They're looking right at you.
Yeah. Almost like they're waiting. Like they were waiting for someone to show up.
As you get closer, he's a male. He's wearing a black leather jacket, black hair, very pale, and doesn't seem to be making any hostile moves. He's just sitting there looking at you and having a cigarette in his hand. He's not really sucking on it, but it's there, kind of like out of a force of habit.
I will keep distance, about at least 2 yards, no closer than that.
Okay.
And I'll kind of come to a stop. You know, those things will kill you if you let them.
Yeah. Didn't kill me before. It definitely won't kill me now. Some weird shit over there, isn't there, lady?
Yeah. Definitely seems to have caught the eye of law enforcement. That's usually not a good thing. Unless that's what they're going for.
Yeah. That's why I'm over here and they're over there. Saw you looking around. Looks like you didn't want to talk to the fuzz either, did you?
They just ask far too many questions. And honestly, I'm just not in the mood to answer them. Got another one of those?
Yeah. He'll reach into his pocket, pull one out. He'll just throw you the pack. Actually, he'll keep one, throw the rest of them to you. Stick the other small one back in his pack.
I'll grab it, kind of pop one up, and probably some loose pack, and pop one through her lips, and just with one hand, the rest into a pocket. Pull out a nice little Zippo, her handy dandy Zippo, and light it up.
You're pretty calm. It's rare to see.
Well, it's no point in getting all in a tizzy, as my grandma would used to say.
Been watching you for a little while.
Oh, really?
You ain't like them.
What? Like those flat feet? Please.
That's not what I was referring to. You ain't the normal cattle that's around here.
Hmm.
I don't know what. You just kind of look and smell different. Which is
Well, it's
fine.
because I bathe. I swear some of them don't.
Well, tell you what. I'm kind of glad you're here.
Mm.
I ain't going nowhere near that. And I ain't hungry right now, so. You looking for anything particular down here, or are you just a night owl walking through the park?
Really just trying to get the beat on things. Seems there's a whole rash of things going on. You know, murders and people dropping like flies left and right and just strange things afoot. You wouldn't have heard anything or...
Kind of like you. Look, there's a lot of weird shit going on down here the past 6 months or so. My group likes a low profile, so we've been just kind of watching. But there's a lot of heat down here, and I mean heat. Cops everywhere, bodies being found, and it's not my folks that is doing it. We don't like the attention down here.
Most of your kind don't. Which is why I was really surprised to see one of your group still hanging around. So that's why I figured you would be worth talking.
Between here, the tracks, we're behind some of the local bars. There's been a lot of killing. Usually doesn't bother us, you know. That's cattle killing cattle, but it's happening with much too frequency for us to not take notice of it. The problem is, it just started out with some of the bums around here. That's fine, but about 2 months ago, it started hitting the higher end folks, and that ain't our territory.
The ones that draw attention.
Well, that, and there's some other folks we don't want to disturb at the moment that handle those particular type of people. But they always end up down here when the bodies are found. And that, again, doesn't sit well with my family. Well, see, I just happened to be down here this time. I saw what happened. That guy was just running, comes down here every day to run about, I guess he gets off work or something and comes down and jogs. We just don't pay attention to him. Somebody did. Big guy, about 6'8", muscular, just tore into him, beat the crap out of him in about 20, 30, 40 seconds. Went down pretty much without a fight. That ain't the weirdest thing. Weirdest thing is, about 3 minutes later, some little chick comes out of the darkness, starts cutting, and starts mumbling while she's cutting. I couldn't hear what was going on, but it was something weird. In about 5 minutes, they were done and gone. And they were heading in that, apparently, the direction that you were going.
Skip, I'd like to roll a cult.
Absolutely.
That is 4 successes.
What are you thinking occult-wise?
So the big one's the muscle. The big one is the one that chases them down and basically does the actual kill.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least incapacitates them to a point. And as they're either dying or have just freshly passed, whatever this woman is doing, it's ritualistic. And it is probably taking the body part to go back to either as proof of death or to complete whatever ritual to add to something.
With that roll, yeah, it's definitely something. You go back to when you first started reading when you were a kid of Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, and all that. Do you have heard of rituals that will regenerate body parts It wouldn't be out of an ordinary to make a leap that you could piece together body parts, depending on how much you know, how much power you would have, anything like that. But with that role, you've heard of rituals that are like this. You've never seen them in play, of course, but your readings have come across them in like ancient history, up until maybe during the war, people were trying to do this to build better soldiers, things like that. Rumors of all sorts.
So I look at my fellow partner fellow witness to this.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have happened to have caught anything that little slender woman would have said by chance? Any words, any phrases?
No. I figured she could do something like that. She could see me. So I decided to lay low. But I could tell you they went off that way.
If she cut out parts, she didn't happen to put them in a bag or pouch or anything specific, or did she just curl it up in her hand and disappear?
No, she put it in some sort of bag. But there was no blood. I didn't smell any.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what. You find out what's going around here. Oh, you won.
I'm definitely going to be finding out what's going on around here. Because whatever is going on around here should not be going on around here.
Tell you what. You come down here, you just yell out the name Phil.
All right, Phil. I'll let you know. But if you really want this to work, keep an eye out. You and your fellow associates.
You got it. And he'll just toss out the last of his cigarette and just kind of start walking back across, away from the cops, towards the other end of the park. And we will cut now back to the railroad tracks. James, we left you climbing a ladder.
Yeah, it's good times. I'm going to continue to climb said ladder.
As you come up, you do see one figure. He's got his back to you now. He's just kind of looking towards the back of the museum area with his flashlight. He looks like he's frantically looking for something.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be paying any attention to you.
What's he dressed like? What's he look like?
He's seen better days. At least his clothes have. They're very mismatched. Like maybe he got it from like a shelter, like old raggedy jeans, boots that are different colors. He's got a old ball cap on and like this really moth-eaten jacket. And the way he's moving is it's very random. It's just like he stops, he looks, and then he continues on. No discernible pattern, but he's definitely looking for something.
Is it possible he's like a junkie or?
Could be.
Okay.
You don't smell anything or anything like that. So
that flashlight he has in his hand or whatever he's using, a light, I assume it's flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
Is he looking on the ground? Is he looking on the walls, in the air?
He's looking all around. He looks on the ground first. He'll stop and then shake his head. And then he'll just kind of look up at the wall and then shake his head. And then he'll kind of shine it in the air. And if you get a little bit, he's mumbling something you cannot hear from where you are. But he's definitely frantic about something.
I'll get a little closer. I'm still trying to stay quiet enough. Not that I want to spook him any more than he might already be, but I also don't want to get into a fist fight with a bum if I don't have to.
Right. As you get closer, you hear him say, "It's not there. He wasn't there. It was there. It was there. It was no. He's not there anymore. No. Where did he go?" And he just keeps walking around. Like he'll head towards to where people can sit and like look back, take a rest from when they're walking around from the museum. Mm-hmm. And he'll just kind of sit down, look at the ground, and say, "No, don't do that. Don't do no." And then he'll kind of get back up and start walking again. And he still hasn't taken any notice of you whatsoever.
Okay. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll step out just slightly and say into the space, "You okay, pal?"
He'll immediately stop when he hears your voice and look at you and kind of say, no, don't hit me. Don't. And he'll just kind of get on his knees a little bit, down on his knees and just start shaking. And no, I won't say anything. I won't say anything. No.
What are you talking about? I'm not going to hit you. Calm down.
But you were just here.
What do you mean I was just here?
He'll kind of look up at you and go, no, you're not him. He's bigger than you.
Him who?
It was Stan. It was a big guy, big guy. He was bigger, about like you, but a little bit bigger. Stan, my man. We were walking along, man. He was just. He comes out. He helps me. He brought me some clothes. We were just talking, and all of a sudden, the big guy just came out and just knocked me over. It grabbed Stan, threw him on the ground, and started to beat the shit out of him. I tried to get to him, and I couldn't, and he pushed me down again. He was big.
Okay. Did you see which way he went?
No, I just saw Stan, and Stan wasn't moving. I ran, and then I just came back a little while. He was missing stuff, man. He was missing stuff, and I tried to wake him up, and he wouldn't wake up. Stan, and now he's gone. I can't find him. Do you know where Stan is?
Wait, hang on. Slow down. One thing at a time. What was he missing?
He's missing his legs.
Missing his legs. So I'm going to think back to the conversation that I overheard.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about a body that had been found.
Right.
That was missing body parts.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen with my discern up, I haven't seen any trace elements or obvious signs of the supernatural here.
Not right in this area, no. Other than those footprints that you saw.
Which led me here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it led me to a space, and then I eventually walked up a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't know where exactly he might have gotten off to, but with no legs, he couldn't have gotten far.
Yeah.
So he's got to be close. And you said you know him. You said he sometimes brings you clothes.
Yeah. He. We met in the shelter. He was. I was hungry. I got some soup that day, and we started talking. And it turns out we were from the same hometown. And every time I come in, he talked to me. And then we meet once a month and play some chess. And he just kind of looked out after me and he brought me these clothes and said he's going to bring me a Captain America t-shirt next time because we got to talking. That was my favorite comic growing up. And and we were down here and, I kind of like hanging out down here. I like trains and said he'd just meet me down here tonight and because he knew it'd be cold and give me this jacket. And we were just talking and man, it just, the dude that came out of nowhere. I thought maybe he'd come up here. It was, are you a cop?
Not exactly, but that's okay. I solve problems.
Good. Cops don't really like me. He trying to calms himself a little bit.
I tell you, if I had a single dot of empathy on this character sheet, I would try to calm him down. That is not my That's not my job.
That ain't your wheelhouse.
It's really not.
Do you think you can find Stan? I mean,
yeah, sure. Where's the shelter that he sometimes pops up at? How far is that?
Oh, if you go down like that way, it's down near. It's the 14th Street shelter. There's it's right next to the graveyard. You can't miss it. That's some scary shit down there. But it's right across from the St. Mary's Hospital. That's where they closed down before they moved everything to Run Up Memorial. Mm-hmm. So, but the shelter was right across from the old hospital. They hadn't moved the shelter yet. So we just go down there.
All right.
That's where.
If I see him, I'll let him know that you're looking for him.
Oh man, thank you. You just tell him that Bob wants to finish our chess game, okay?
Sure thing, Bob. Go get someplace warm.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Without another word to Bob, I'm going to dip out and head down towards the shelter.
Okay. And as you make your way down there, we will move on to Fiona, who we left in the computer area of the medical examiner's office.
I was on HunterNet. I get 2 successes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking to see if there was any other cases that people have posted about on the HunterNet, or if there's been any other documentation of this. I don't know. Does Wikipedia exist in '98? Probably not. Or if it did, I think it did, but we weren't allowed to use it as references for our reports back in the day.
Just getting on hunter.net, you just kind of go back a few months, and there have been some hunters that have reported that they've seen dead bodies that have been more recently found in the area more than usual. Some of them have just been flat out murder, but there are a couple of mentions of people missing body parts, not heads, arms, legs, feet, even fingers, that have recently happened within the past 6 months. There is a pattern that some of them have noticed, that they all have been in the river downtown area. Starting out, they've been people who are bums, transients, things like that. But over the past month, there have been people who have lived outside the area. One being the pianist. There was also a orchestra director also taken. His hands were gone as well. He taught at the local high school. And just people have been outside of the downtown area that have been more of a middle class to upper class. It's kind of the feeling that the hunters have gotten on this.
But it's been multiple individuals with hands.
Yeah, it's been
so more than 2 hands.
More than 2 hands, more than feet, more than legs. Yeah.
And is there a pattern to this? Has this occurred in other areas outside of Virginia, other parts of the United States, different years?
There have been, but nothing like this. This is kind of rare. There have been body parts missing here and there, but nothing to this extent and nothing to this many body parts.
All right, so I'd like to use my edge on 4C.
Okay.
And so what that does is it allows us to anticipate probabilities and actions of others, or something 4C allows hunters a brief glimpse into the future, a look that allows them to choose the best course of action. So I'm hoping I can get a look to see who the next victim might be.
Okay.
If I am to be so bold to take that narration and let you know where I want to look to.
I like it when you're bold. Go for it.
All right, the difficulty on 4C is a 7.
That is correct.
So it's roll intelligence and vision.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have a 2.
Okay.
And then there's only one extra roll is allowed per action. You might be able to. Oh. You may make 1 extra roll for a specified action and choose the best result. Oh, but I have to announce.
Right. You do have to announce what you're going to use it, and you can use either one rolls. But
I already announced that that's what I want to do with that, is to see who the next victim is. So can I roll again?
I will let you go ahead and roll in this case.
Okay. So that gave me 2. That one was 2 as well. So pick your favorite.
Okay. You begin to stare at the screen, just looking at, kind of flipping back and forth between where these bodies were found, what was taken. And the screen kind of goes fuzzy for a moment. And you see an area that you haven't seen before. You're seeing a fence that's kind of caved in. You're seeing like a building partially collapsed, bricks kind of strewn out in front of behind the broken fence, and the vision kind of looks around. It's kind of a weird sight for you. You're still not used to this particular action that you're able to do now, but you do kind of focus in on one thing. You're seeing half of a cross that's kind of fallen over, and you can definitely make out the word Mary's right above it. Underneath the cross, you are seeing a guy about 6'3". It looks like he's still holding on to life, what's maybe left of it for him. Just looking at him, you're seeing that one of his right arm has been removed, and standing over him is a very large man, about 6'8", with a grizzly beard, deep blue eyes, and he's sitting there with a grin on his face, like he's really enjoying what's going on in his vision below him. And you hear him mutter the words Stacy, and the vision kind of flips out.
Well, I know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the old St. Mary's Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Over by the homeless shelter.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's time to pay a visit over there.
As you make your way to St. Mary's Hospital, we'll go to the last of our hunters, Riley. What would you like to do now, Miss Riley?
Well, I mean, I was going to feel up that foot.
Yeah. You're feeling it up. It does feel... You can definitely feel the veins. You can feel the bone, but it's perfectly... I don't want to say smooth, but it is... To the touch, it feels like flesh is just regrown over it to a certain degree. It's the weirdest sensation you've ever felt. You know there should be some sort of rough, but it's not.
That makes me uneasy and a little queasy, if I'm honest. Like, wounds don't do that after something like this, unless, you know, he was already having some time to recover from it. But something like this very likely sent his body like into shock. Like, is there like an official cause of death?
You go to the file, and the official cause of death is blood loss from foot being removed.
Because where did he lose his blood from? There's no blood from these wounds.
Nope.
All right, well, so that doesn't make any sense. So the coroner, like, either was told not to ask questions or didn't give a shit, and both of those make me upset. So I'm gonna like start. I'm gonna like, I know that I don't have a specialization in doing mortician stuff, autopsies. That's the word. I don't have a specialization. Yeah, I don't have a specialization in autopsy, but I'd like to like take a look to see if there are like needle marks in places where it would be like an easier place to drain blood.
Okay.
So along major arteries, basically.
You've got 4 dots in medicine. I am going to go ahead and give you the medicine and intelligence roll. You just won't have any specialization on this one.
That is there a target number 6?
Yes.
4 successes.
4 successes. All right. You start looking over the body. You're not seeing any puncture wounds or anything like that. But with that amount of success, you do notice that there is a little bit of bruising around his shoulder area and along the chest. But there's no puncture wounds or anything like that.
Is there a particular pattern to the bruising?
Yeah, with 4 successes, you can tell it's definitely bludgeoning of some sort.
So he was beaten by something.
But just looking at it, you had to really get close. From a if this guy was bludgeoned to death, you probably would have seen the bruises from a little distance away. You had to get really close to see these bruises.
Are they bruises that look like they are mostly faded, like that they've had time to heal?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
Okay. So is Dr. Dunham still in the room with me?
She's actually getting her things and getting ready to leave.
Okay. I'm actually gonna stop her. Dr. Dunham?
Yes.
Are you sure he wasn't in trouble of some kind?
Well, not that he told me. Our last conversation was that he was just going to, go home and relax. We were supposed to go to the movies tomorrow night, and so we kind of wanted to stay in tonight.
Because he has bruising that looks like it's mostly healed.
She'll kind of walk over and look where you're pointing. Give me a perception and awareness.
2.
2? Okay. As she goes over to look, she starts looking in the area before you even point. So she kind of looks a little bit closer to it. You just catch that off the corner of your eyes. You're getting ready to point. And she kind of looks over there. Then she kind of notices you and just kind of looks a little bit closer to where you're pointing. Yeah, it looks like some of the bruises have healed. He wasn't in any fight that I know of.
No, but I mean, it's a little unusual if he's not in some kind of trouble. If I can, I'd like to activate my illuminate power.
Okay.
So I roll perception and mercy, difficulty 6. What it does is it makes it possible for me and any other fellow hunters in the area to identify supernatural creatures. So
okay.
I want to see if she is supernatural.
Okay. All right. Give me the roll.
I have 2 successes.
2 successes. She is not supernatural. However, she looks like maybe she has been touched by the supernatural. When you look at her, you can kind of see like marks on her arm, on both arms. That looks like she may have been grabbed of some sort, but it's giving you a residual effect. It has an effect that you haven't seen before, but it's definitely noticeable with the illuminate.
Okay. Well, I don't really want to I know that my lunch break is coming to an end if it's not already over, because I've been, examining this body in the morgue. And I also don't want to make her suspicious unnecessarily. So I'm not going to be asking any more questions, but I do have her name, and I've taken some mental notes for me to write down, so that way when I get off shift, I can go home and get on HunterNet so that I can see if anybody else has encountered something like this before.
Okay. All right. So you make your way, you make your notes and make your way back up to the desk. And your friend's sitting there, and she's like, "Did you see it?"
Yeah, I did a little more than see it.
What?
I touched it.
Oh, what did it feel like?
Not right. It looked like it had already started, like the skin had started to heal.
Ow.
And I looked at the notes from the mortician, and it said blood loss through these cuts, except that there's no sign of any bleeding from the cuts. And I checked for, puncture wounds to see if anyone drained his blood, and the assumption was that, he had maybe just been drained of blood and this was a staging thing, but there was some, there was bruising that had mostly healed, but the most interesting part of everything was that I met his fiance,
Mhm.
a Dr. Dunham. Says she's a surgeon.
Oh, Dr. Dunham?
Yeah.
Francis Dunham?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she used to. When I worked over at St. Mary's before coming over here, she was the lead general surgeon there.
Yeah, she said that he was her fiance and that he was a foot model.
Fiance. Yeah, her husband died about 2 years ago, so I guess she was starting to date again. Wow, that's a string of bad luck.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a Black Widow. I'm just kidding, but she was always a little off when I worked with her. Just doesn't seem friendly type. You
No.
Dr. Dunham.
Yeah, I mean, she seems perfectly lovely, grieving, obviously. But
who was the medical examiner who signed off on that?
I didn't happen to look for that. At least not overtly.
Mm-mm.
So I honestly, I didn't even look at the name. I was more just interested in what the general consensus was, and I don't agree with it. But
Okay.
I'm not a medical examiner to, try to change that. I'm also not a fully fledged, like hardcore mortician.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I'm probably just reading too much into like not just the unfortunate young man who's down there, but also his fiance. I asked her if like maybe he was in trouble because there was bruising,
Mm-hmm.
and she looked and she said no, but then she looked where there was bruising like right before I pointed it out to her. So either she had already taken a good look at him or she lied to me.
Well, she see her go to the computer, type a couple of things in, an old file pulls up. The medical examiner's report assigned Dunham. I didn't know she was a medical examiner. See? And she'll point out the computer.
Got it. So that's... And like all of my hackles are now like raised.
Mm-hmm.
Like she should not have done the examination on his remains for one thing. Like that's too much personal stuff going on there, and there is probably like that leaves room for something she could have missed or stuff that she's covering up on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Have there been any police in to ask about him?
Not since I've been here.
Like I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe I should, even if it's a false alarm, like raise the alarms just a little bit. If maybe get a different official examination on him from someone who's he's not directly connected to, because I don't think that feet just come off willy-nilly and not be investigated.
All right. Well, that's where we'll leave our hunters right now, as we'll bring this particular episode to a close. And I'd like to thank all my hunters for participating tonight. I'd like to thank y'all for listening, and we'll be back soon.